Welcome, everybody. It is time for day number 9. Today is November, the 9th. What do you know? It's almost a little coinky dink, isn't it? But it's time for day number 9. I want to say welcome to the show. Man, one of these days I will get those transitions smoother, but today was not the day. I know why you came. You want to see the little comedy sketches that run in front of this, don't you? I know you do. I've been having a lot of fun shooting those, and so you know what? Let's go ahead and get that up because it's going to have the verse of the day in it also, and I think this is one you're going to enjoy thoroughly.
Did you want me to shut the electric off?
I think I know what I'm doing. Thank you, OSHA.
Just in case.
That never happened if you hadn't distracted me.
My bad.
A Man a Minute with Daniel Earl. Whoever corrects a mocker invites insults. Whoever rebukes the wicked incurs abuse. Proverbs 9:7. I think we all know somebody just like that example, and I think you should tag them right here in the video. And if you don't know anybody like that, then it's probably you. Anyhow, Solomon reminds us today that even the best of wisdom and advice isn't always received with the best of attitudes. And yeah, sometimes it even comes back on you. But still, we share what we know, and if things don't work out, we say, sorry. Unheeded advice, and what do we do about that, huh? Wow, what a topic. I know none of us, we have never experienced this, have we? Where we had some solid, good advice that we brought to an individual, and whoosh, and then, of course, yeah, it was all your fault to begin with. And if you hadn't interrupted them with such fantastic advice, maybe something good could have been accomplished. Oh, some days it makes you wonder, doesn't it? But nonetheless, we move on, we progress, and we try to be better communicators, maybe try to be more selective about the ways in which we share our knowledge. And sometimes you just stand back and watch and nod and be there to call the ambulance. Whew, wish that never happened to me, but I gotta tell you, it's probably happened to me a time or two. I mean, after all, do my own stunts. But Solomon here in Proverbs chapter 9. We're going to go through a bunch of this today. This is like so good. And Solomon, he's really good, as I said yesterday, about these juxtapositions, putting these two things side by side that are seemingly similar, but then highlighting the differences. And here he's going to use some personifications, and I don't really know if these are personifications or anthropomorphisms because it's kind of like both. So I guess it's a personifomorphism. And there's another word that I just made up. Not the other two, or the third one, but this, yeah, personifomorphism. I'm not even sure that's it. You know what? Here's the sad. Some of my former teachers watch this thing. I'm sorry, guys. It's in there. It's crowded up in there. So he says, "Do not rebuke mockers, or they will hate you. Rebuke the wise, and they will love you. Instruct the wise, and they will be wiser still. Teach the righteous, and they will add to their learning." So there you go. He's saying, if you are in for a good round of mocking, somebody just to point their finger in your face and laugh at you, then share good wisdom with a mocker. Oh boy, that just brings us right into the realm of society, doesn't it? And I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it. I know, but it's part of the wisdom series. It's part of the wisdom study. But how often is this a thing today where instead of presenting arguments, instead of teaching and instructing, we have a bunch of people who come on TV and all they can do is mock and criticize an opinion counter to their own. I'm just going to say I'm not a fan. I mean, is it funny? Yeah. I mean, come on. I love comedy, right? But just to sit and to mock and to scorn, if that's all you ever do, and you never really bring to light any real topics, it's just too easy to take the cheap shots. It's it's the straw man argument. It's just set to the tone of comedy, and some people who aren't really paying attention, it does have an effect. It has an effect. But here in the top part of the chapter and in the bottom part of the chapter, we'll be done in just a minute. Wisdom has built her house. She has set up its 7 pillars. Think about that. Then down in verse 13, he says, folly is an unruly woman. She is simple and knows nothing. She sits at the door of her house on a seat at the highest point of the city. And so he's talking about these 2 houses. And he uses wisdom in the feminine here to express these 2 different types of women. I noticed that the woman of wisdom, she has built her house with 7 pillars. Now, if we know anything about numerology, we understand the number of 7 is an important number. Wisdom has done this with her hands. Folly's just sitting at her house. It doesn't really say that she's participated at all in the building. I'm just pulling out some of these elements for you. They're just curious observations. In verse 3, I know I'm going back and forth. She has sent out her servants, talking about wisdom, and she calls from the highest point in the city. Let all who are simple come to my house. To those who have no sense, she says, come, eat my food and drink the wine I have mixed. Leave your simple ways and you will live. Walk in the way of insight. That's the call of wisdom. It's to everyone who's simple. And so here's the thing, right? You may take some mocking, you may take some ridicule, and you have to be careful. You've got to use wisdom even in sharing wisdom, okay? But to anyone who is simple, wisdom will teach you if you are willing. That's the whole thing. She's not out there dragging people into the house, but she's inviting them in. I want to finish up on the woman of folly, right? It says that she sits on the seat in the city, calling out to those who pass by, who go straight on their way. Let all who are simple come to my house. Now look, who are they both calling out to? They're both calling out to the simple. The simple have the same opportunity, the same draw, the same call, right? Let all who are simple come to my house. To those who have no sense, she says, stolen water is sweet, food eaten in secret is delicious, but little do they know that the dead are there, that her guests are deep in the realm of the dead. So in verse 18, it talks about the woman of folly, the dead live in her house. But back up in verse number 6 of the woman of wisdom, it says, you will live, walk in the way of insight. And this is kind of... boy, if we want to set this and run it all the way straight down, okay, so we're just going to take this Old Testament passage, and I'm just going to warp speed it like, Captain Picard right into the New Testament. John chapter 3. Jesus having a conversation with a man named Nicodemus. Nicodemus says, we know you are a teacher who comes from God. And Jesus says to him, what? Except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Now, you know what that means to me? It means you don't even know what you're talking about, Nicodemus. You can't even see what's going on around you unless you are born of this kingdom. Okay, true wisdom comes from God. I think of the book of James, right? And that's going to be the New Testament counterpart to the book of Proverbs, all right? And I know we're going like all over the place here. It's going to settle in, okay? But I want you to think about those 2 houses that are built with wisdom and folly. I want you to think of the servants of those 2 houses, okay? So if you were going to think about the people who surround your life, the people whom you give the most attention to, let me ask you something. Which house are they in? Okay? Isn't like Harry Potter, where he's set a hat on somebody's head, and it tells you which house you're in. I mean, it's their actions that are going to determine which house they are in. Are they in the house of wisdom or are they in the house of folly? And listen, that can go on both sides. I don't care what the issue is. And I'm just thinking specifically here like political, right? It can be on the right, it can be on the left, but my question is not which house, the right or the left, are they in, but which house, wisdom or folly, are they in? So give some consideration to that. Think about what's said in the passage about the mocking. Think about the call of the woman of wisdom. Think about the call of the woman of folly. Think about the fact that it's open to the same group of people, and then decide for yourself, whose call will you heed? Thank you so much for joining me today. I want you to remember to be good, have fun, do it in that order. The little Manna 1 Minute will be posted up here not too long after this. And then you can join me tomorrow, good Lord willing, for another episode, Proverbs chapter 10. We're going to continue on with King Solomon for, it'll be like, 20 days after that? Yeah. So there you go. All right. Have a good evening.